The day Earth went silent. The Galactic Council had existed for over 3,000 years. It was a symbol of unity, progress, and cooperation among the stars. Hundreds of species worked together, sharing knowledge, resources, and protection. Wars were rare. Peace was the standard. And for nearly 2 centuries, humanity had begged to be part of it. Earth sent diplomats, scientists, engineers, and peacekeepers. They helped build stations, defended trade routes, and offered medical aid during plagues. Humanity followed every rule, met every requirement, and smiled through every insult. The Council acknowledged their efforts with polite words but never with true respect. They are too young, the VRWN delegates would say, their crystalline bodies shimmering with dismissive light. Too emotional, the Kelthra added, their many eyes blinking in synchronized judgment. Too dangerous, whispered the Urvashi, whose own history was stained with genocide. Humanity endured it all. They believed patience would win respect. They believed cooperation would earn trust. They believed the galaxy would eventually see them as equals. They were wrong. Cairo Station was humanity's proudest achievement. It floated in neutral space, a shining hub where humans, VRWN, Kelthra, and dozens of other species lived, worked, and thrived together. It was proof that humanity could build bridges, not just weapons. Over 5,000 souls called it home. Nearly 100 were human. Then, one morning, Cairo Station exploded. The blast tore through the structure in seconds. Emergency signals screamed across subspace. Rescue ships arrived within hours, but it was too late. Wreckage floated in the void, twisted metal and frozen bodies drifting silently. Among the dead were 93 humans, including Ambassador Elena Voss and her entire family. Earth mourned. The galaxy watched. And the Galactic Council pointed fingers. Terrorism, they declared within 48 hours. A human extremist group called the Solar Brotherhood is responsible. Earth's government demanded evidence. The Council provided none. Earth requested an independent investigation. The Council refused. Earth asked for time to examine the wreckage. The Council denied access, claiming the debris was too dangerous and ordered it destroyed. Then came the vote. Resolution 7743 passed with overwhelming support. Humanity's provisional observer status was revoked. All human representatives were expelled from Council space. Earth's trade agreements were suspended. Their colonies were placed under protective quarantine. The message was clear: humanity was not welcome. The Council expected protests. They expected anger. They expected humanity to beg for mercy, to plead for another chance, to promise reform and apologies. Instead, humanity went silent. Every human diplomat left Council space without complaint. Every human station in neutral territory evacuated within 72 hours. Every human ship returned to the solar system. Earth's embassies closed. Their communication channels went dark. No messages. No broadcasts. No explanations. The galaxy barely noticed. They finally understand their place, the VRWN said with satisfaction. They will return when they are ready to behave, the Kelthra agreed. The Council moved on to other matters, confident that the problem of humanity had been solved. But in the shadows of the solar system, something was changing. Old shipyards roared back to life. Factories that had been dormant for decades suddenly ran at full capacity. Scientists who had once worked on peaceful exploration projects were reassigned to classified facilities. The Mars Defense Grid, built centuries ago and never fully activated, began receiving upgrades. And deep within the asteroid belt, in a hidden construction site surrounded by stealth fields and automated defenses, Project Eidolon neared completion. 6 months passed. The galaxy continued as it always had. The Council held meetings, passed laws, and congratulated itself on maintaining peace. Trade flourished. Colonies expanded. No one thought about Earth. Then came the annual Assembly of Unity, the Council's grandest event. Delegates from every species gathered in the Celestial Forum, a massive station orbiting the VRYN homeworld. Speeches were given. Treaties were signed. The galaxy celebrated another year of harmony. And then, every screen in the galaxy froze. The assembly hall went silent. Holographic displays flickered and died. Communication networks stuttered, then stabilized under an unknown signal. Every ship, every station, every colony world with a connected device saw the same thing, a simple black screen with white text. No images. No voices. Just 12 words in perfect galactic standard. We asked for peace. You gave us graves. Now you'll understand pain. The message lasted 10 seconds. Then the screens returned to normal. Delegates looked at each other in confusion. Security teams scrambled to trace the signal. Technicians insisted it was impossible, no one could hijack the entire galactic network simultaneously. Then the report started coming in. Outpost Theta 9, a fortified Council military base near the edge of known space, was gone. No distress signal. No debris. Just empty space where a station with 3,000 personnel had been moments before. Relay Station Kevsha, a heavily defended communications hub, vanished next. Then Garrison Point Tuller. Then the VRWN Defense Platform Corvash. Then the Kelthra Research Fortress Ilomar. Then the Orvashi Listening Post Grenoke. 6 strategic locations. 6 council strongholds. Gone in under 3 minutes. No weapons fire detected. No ships observed. No survivors. Just silence. And somewhere in the dark between stars, humanity waited. The ghost that hunts the stars. Panic swept through the Galactic Council like wildfire. Emergency sessions were called. Military fleets were mobilized. Intelligence agencies tore through surveillance data, searching for any sign of what had happened. 6 fortified stations, each protected by shields, automated defense grids, and warships, had simply ceased to exist. No explosions. No energy signatures. No warnings. The Council demanded answers. Their scientists had none. Quantum destabilization, one VRWN physicist suggested, his crystalline form flickering with uncertainty. Perhaps a weapon that collapses matter at the subatomic level. Impossible, a Kelthra admiral countered, her many eyes wide with fear. That technology doesn't exist. Even theoretical models require power outputs equivalent to a star. Then what did this? The Orvashi High Chancellor hissed, his scaled hands trembling. What force can reach across the galaxy and erase military installations without a trace? No one had an answer. But everyone knew who was responsible. Earth. The silence from humanity's home system was deafening. No transmissions. No threats. No demands. The solar system remained dark, its borders monitored by sensors that detected nothing. Every probe sent toward Earth's space vanished the moment it crossed the heliopause. Every long-range scan returned static. It was as if humanity had pulled a curtain around their star and dared the galaxy to peek behind it. The Council tried diplomacy first. Messages were sent to Earth on every frequency, in every language humanity had ever spoken. They offered negotiations. They promised investigations into Cairo Station. They suggested mutual understanding and renewed cooperation. Earth did not respond. So the Council tried threats instead. Humanity will face consequences for this act of terrorism, the VRWN ambassador declared before the full assembly. We will not tolerate violence against the civilized galaxy. If Earth does not surrender those responsible and dismantle whatever weapon they have developed, the Council will have no choice but to respond with force. The speech was broadcast across every Council world. It was meant to sound strong, decisive, and united. Instead, it sounded desperate. Because 3 hours after the speech ended, 7 more council installations disappeared. This time, they weren't just military bases. One was a civilian research station studying stellar phenomena. Another was a hospital ship treating refugees from a recent famine. A third was a VRWN colony with over 50,000 inhabitants. Gone. All of them. In the span of 5 minutes. The galaxy froze in terror. The Council's fleet stopped advancing. Trade ships refused to leave port. Colonies locked down their borders and went silent, hoping that staying quiet might keep them safe. Fear replaced confidence. Paranoia replaced unity. And still, Earth said nothing. But they left a message at each site. Carved into nearby asteroids, etched into planetary surfaces, burned into the hulls of derelict ships floating in the void, the same 12 words, repeated over and over. We asked for peace. You gave us graves. Now you'll understand pain. The Council's best military minds tried to formulate a strategy. They analyzed attack patterns, predicted targets, and positioned fleets to intercept whatever was striking them. It didn't matter. The attacks continued, unpredictable and unstoppable. Some targets were obvious: Council military assets, government facilities, leadership compounds. Others made no sense. A luxury resort for Kelthara elites. A VRWN cultural monument. An Orvashi propaganda broadcaster. Earth wasn't just attacking strategic locations. They were sending a message: nowhere is safe. Weeks passed. The death toll climbed into the hundreds of thousands. The Council's authority crumbled as species began withdrawing their fleets, protecting their own borders instead of coordinating a unified response. Alliances fractured. Accusations flew. Some species whispered that they should negotiate. Others demanded total war. But how do you fight an enemy you cannot see? The breakthrough came from an unlikely source, a Kelthara astrophysicist named Dr. Shenvier, who had studied human culture for decades. She appeared before the Council's Emergency War Committee with a theory that made everyone in the room go silent. Humans have a saying, she began, her voice steady despite the tension in the chamber. When you stare into the abyss stares back. We have spent 2 centuries treating them as inferiors. We denied them justice. We blamed them for a tragedy they did not cause. And when they asked for proof, we refused. When they asked for time, we denied it. When they asked for respect, we gave them contempt. Get to the point, the VRWN High Commander snapped. Dr. Shenvier's many eyes focused on him with cold clarity. We created this. We gave them no choice but to become what we always feared they would be. And now they are showing us exactly what humanity is capable of when you push them too far. Then how do we stop them? The Orvashi general demanded. We don't, Dr. Shenvier replied. We ask them what they want. The Council debated for hours. Pride fought against survival. Arrogance clashed with fear. But eventually, reality won. They drafted a message, carefully worded, humble in tone, offering a full investigation into Cairo Station and promising to restore humanity's rights. The message was sent on every frequency, in every human language, repeated endlessly into the void. For 3 days, there was no response. Then, on the 4th day, Earth finally spoke. A single transmission reached the Celestial Forum, broadcast live to every Council world. No video. Just a voice, calm, measured, and cold. You ask what we want. We wanted justice. You gave us exile. We wanted truth. You gave us lies. We wanted peace. You gave us graves. Now you ask for mercy, as if you have the right to bargain. The voice paused. The galaxy held its breath. You will dismantle the blockade around our colonies. You will release all documentation related to Cairo Station. You will formally apologize for the wrongful accusations and the deaths you caused. And you will grant Earth full membership in the Galactic Council with voting rights and equal standing. Another pause. You have 72 hours. If you refuse, the attacks will continue. If you comply, we will consider peace. But understand this, humanity will never again beg for what should have been ours by right. The age of asking is over. The transmission ended. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Some demanded defiance. Others pleaded for acceptance. The VRNN wanted war. The Kelthra wanted negotiation. The Urvashi wanted time to think. But time was the one thing they didn't have. Because deep in the asteroid belt, aboard the stealth warship Eidolon, Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge and watched the countdown timer tick toward zero. Humanity had made its offer. Now the galaxy would decide. And if they chose wrong, the Eidolon would remind them why underestimating humans had always been a fatal mistake. The price of arrogance. The Galactic Council had 72 hours to decide the fate of the galaxy. For the first 48, they did what politicians always do, they argued. The VRNN demanded military action. We cannot bow to terrorists, their high commander declared, his crystalline form glowing with righteous fury. If we yield to humanity's threats, every species in the galaxy will see us as weak. We must strike first, strike hard, and remind them why the Council has maintained peace for 3,000 years. The Kelthra urged caution. We have lost over 300,000 lives in 3 weeks, their prime speaker said, her many eyes reflecting genuine sorrow. How many more must die before we admit that humanity has become something we cannot defeat through force alone? The Urvashi sat in silence, their scaled faces unreadable. They had ruled their sector through fear and manipulation for centuries, but even they recognized when an opponent held the superior position. They would vote with whoever seemed likely to win. Smaller species watched and waited, hoping their silence would keep them safe. The debate raged through emergency sessions, private councils, and desperate late-night negotiations. Every hour that passed brought new reports of human activity. Ships were spotted at the edge of council space, sleek, dark vessels that vanished before anyone could get a clear scan. Energy readings spiked near human colonies, suggesting massive construction projects. And the solar system itself had become a fortress, surrounded by sensor disruption fields and automated defense platforms that destroyed anything that came too close. Humanity was preparing for war. Or perhaps they were simply showing the galaxy what they had been building while everyone ignored them. With 12 hours remaining, the VRNN made their move. Without council approval, they launched a preemptive strike, a fleet of 80 warships, the pride of their military, equipped with the most advanced weapons the galaxy had ever seen. Their target, Earth itself. We will end this threat before it grows further, the VRYNN High Commander announced to the Assembly. By the time you finish debating, humanity will be kneeling before the Council, begging for mercy. The fleet entered the solar system with weapons charged and shields raised. They expected resistance. They expected a battle. They expected to overwhelm whatever defenses humanity had managed to cobble together. Instead, they found something impossible. The moment the VRNN fleet crossed the heliopause, every ship lost power simultaneously. Engines died. Weapons went offline. Life support flickered. 80 warships, each capable of destroying a planet, became floating coffins in the span of 3 seconds. Then a transmission reached them, a calm human voice speaking perfect VRNN. You were warned. You chose arrogance. Now you will drift here until your oxygen runs out, and you will have time to think about the mistake you made. We could kill you. We choose mercy instead. Remember that when you are rescued. The transmission ended. The VRNN fleet hung dead in space, helpless and humiliated. And on Earth, Captain Sarah Chen stood aboard the Eidolon and watched the tactical display with cold satisfaction. Electromagnetic pulse worked perfectly, her tactical officer reported. All 80 ships disabled without permanent damage. Their crews are alive but powerless. Good, Sarah said quietly. Send recovery coordinates to the council. Let them come pick up their people. And make sure they see the message we're sending. Already done, Captain. Every sensor in the system recorded what happened. The galaxy will know within the hour. Sarah nodded. Project Eidolon was humanity's greatest achievement, a warship powered by technology the galaxy didn't believe possible. Quantum processors capable of hacking any network system. Energy weapons that could destabilize matter at the molecular level. Stealth fields that rendered the ship invisible to every known form of detection. And a crew that had spent 6 months training for this exact moment. Humanity hadn't built a weapon. They had built a statement. We are not your inferiors. We never were. When news of the VRWN fleet's defeat reached the council, the debate ended. The vote was unanimous. All demands would be met. The blockades would be lifted. Cairo Station's files would be released. Earth would receive full council membership with equal standing and voting rights. And a formal apology would be issued, broadcast across the galaxy, acknowledging the injustice humanity had suffered. The message was sent immediately. This time, humanity responded within minutes. Your terms are accepted. The attacks will cease. But understand, this is not forgiveness. This is an agreement. Break it, and you will learn that what you have seen so far was restraint. Humanity does not forget. And we will never again allow ourselves to be victims. The galaxy exhaled. Ships began moving again. Trade routes reopened. Colonies emerged from lockdown. The council held a ceremony to officially welcome Earth as a full member, and every species in attendance watched as Ambassador Marcus Webb, a former engineer who had helped build Cairo Station, took humanity's seat. He gave no grand speech. He made no threats. He simply looked at the assembled delegates and said, "We came in peace. You taught us that peace requires strength. We will not forget that lesson." The applause was polite but uneasy. Everyone knew the galaxy had changed forever. In the weeks that followed, investigations into Cairo Station revealed what humanity had suspected all along: the explosion was not caused by human terrorists. It was sabotage, orchestrated by a faction within the Orvashi intelligence service who wanted to prevent humanity's rise. The conspirators were arrested. The Orvashi government issued groveling apologies. Earth accepted them without comment. Justice had been served. But it had come at a terrible price. The Eidolon returned to its hidden dock in the asteroid belt, its mission complete. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge one last time, looking at the tactical display showing Earth and its colonies, now protected by treaties and respect instead of hope and patience. Was it worth it? Her second-in-command asked quietly. Sarah thought about the 93 humans who died on Cairo Station. She thought about the centuries of humiliation humanity had endured. She thought about the hundreds of thousands who had died during the conflict, council citizens who were guilty of nothing except being part of a system that valued arrogance over justice. "I don't know," she admitted. "But I know this: no one will ever treat humanity like children again. No one will ever ignore us when we ask for justice. And no one will ever make the mistake of thinking patience is the same as weakness." She turned away from the display and walked toward the exit. "Shut it down. We're done here." The Eidolon went dark, hidden once more in the shadows where humanity had learned to thrive. It would sleep until it was needed again, a reminder that Earth had changed, that humanity had evolved, and that the galaxy would never again make the mistake of underestimating the species that had survived ice ages, world wars, and their own worst instincts. Humanity had asked for peace. They had been given graves instead. And in response, they had taught the galaxy a lesson it would never forget. Push us to the edge, and we will show you what lies beyond it. The age of humanity's patience was over. The age of their strength had begun. And the galaxy would never be the same.